Welcome to episode 7 of our resume review. Thank you all for joining today.
Hi.
Hi. It's a pleasure to have y'all here. If anyone's interested here or watching on YouTube to have their resume reviewed live, such as we'll be doing today, you can send a copy of that to our email, stemnetworkdiscord@gmail.com.
Are you going to make that pop up in post?
Yeah, probably we won't do that. But if you join our Discord, you'll see it all over the place in the announcements channel. So you can find it. Also, you can go to the resume review channel and just throw it in there if you don't want to do it live, but if you want some feedback from the community. But either way, make sure you redact your personal information, and it's appreciated if you're emailing it, especially that you include your Discord tag or some nickname that we can refer to you by. See, I also want to remind everyone that we have a presentation tomorrow. We're going to have Sways Express presenting on some research that he's done. That's pretty exciting. Some of y'all might remember he's presented before for us, and he's come back and, as I understand it, has expressed a desire to showcase some more of his research while it's fresh in his mind. So he's going to be scheduled for tomorrow, I think at 6 o'clock Central.
What kind of research is it, Chase?
Specifically, I don't know, but generally, he specializes in battery research.
Ooh.
I know that's very vague. He works with a NASA subcontractor as well, so it's probably related to satellites.
I hope it's a nuclear battery. Those are cool.
It might be. Like I said, I don't know what exactly he's presenting on tomorrow. All right. I think that's everything out of the way. So let's jump onto the resume itself here. I believe you can all still see this.
Mm-hmm.
I'll zoom out just a little bit to make sure you can see everything. Is there anything that sticks out to y'all right off the bat? Anything formatting wise?
I don't think that. I don't know. I don't use objectives anymore. I don't think objectives are really useful. I think they're just a way to add some fluff.
Agreed. Also, the education
Should be at the
is
top.
not in line. Well, it's not in line with the other columns. The date, it's like 2 tabs to the left for some reason.
Good point.
I disagree with the whole education at the top thing, but I've been overruled and told to stop saying that.
What do you think you should add to the top?
I think experience should come to the top, or if you have not a ton of experience, then put skills and stuff up there. But education, for the most part, is a checkbox that do you have it? Yes, no, and it can go on the bottom.
Well, that might be a good reason to put it at the top, because if you see here, they're not going to graduate for some time. So it's really a no-ish here.
Also, on that note too, I have applied for jobs pre-graduation, and I had gotten interviews with them, and then they went, "Oh, so when can you start?" And I was like, "Well, I'm still in school." And they go, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, it says on my resume, expected graduation." And then they go, "Oh, well, never mind." And then, it just kind of ended right there.
Ooh.
So important to add it in. Unless you want interview practice, then go for it.
I would take the expected graduation off. It's clearly in the future.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah. Let's see. We kind of skipped right over the objective. I know sometimes some of us, at least, will say that it's good to have if you're looking to transition into another industry.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like, though, since they're not close to graduating, that's not the case here. I think, reading through this, that a lot of this is stuff they would hopefully show through bullet points in their experience.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all think there's anything in here that might have some redemption, I guess?
I would like to see the in-depth experience be flushed out as bullet points.
Yeah, I think that all of that space could be put towards highlighting a personal project that they've done and describing it instead of just the generalities they have here.
Agreed.
All right. Let's see. Any more thoughts about the education? I guess in terms of formatting, this is all pretty standard information, really.
I think that's good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I like getting it all onto one line. I don't think that you need the school, city, school, state on there. It's most schools, you just are in one spot and you can look up where they are. I don't see why that's necessary. And I put school name, degree title, and then on the on the far side the date earned. And for me, that frees up that extra line.
I'll say that if you have a minor, maybe it would be worth doing that extra line, like as a sub bullet type deal. Bachelor of Science at Electrical, and then drop down tab, and then minor. But that's if you have a minor.
Yeah,
So,
if you have a minor or specialization,
concentration.
sometimes you can fit those onto one line as well, but it becomes pretty clear if you're running out of space. I mean, you could abbreviate this as BS in electrical engineering, and that'd say minor in computer science or what have you. I will say, generally speaking, I think if you're double majoring or if you've gone back to school for a second major, that would be a great time to really have two distinct lines. And I know Emily would say that she likes having the date on the same line as the major and not with the school. So I want to, point out that if you're putting thought into which line you want to put the date in, the reasoning we usually discuss is that's when you're getting your degree. And that's especially useful, again, if you're getting multiple degrees. Not that that's going to be very common. Y'all can hear me currently, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, we can hear you, Jason.
I see someone is having trouble hearing me right now. Let's see, moving on from that, kind of focusing more on the formatting. I see they have course projects above the experience.
Experience should immediately follow education. Project should be like a fun.
Their experience isn't very good.
Right.
It's not. It's not. Yeah.
Here I would say projects should go above just because the experience. I mean, the tech mentors I like, but I would actually even say I would remove the bagger. It's only 3 months.
That was over a year.
Oh, I missed the date on that.
That was close to a year, but yeah. Some people like to see if you can stay in a place long enough for a job.
Yes,
especially when you're starting off. And I would assume that this would be covered like internships.
Yeah, I mean, I would save it in reserve. I would try to get more projects and other technical things on there.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with the bullet points are pretty minimal and pretty just broad in description, which I feel like you could use that space for your projects and go more in depth under there to show that you know what you're talking about, rather than just being
and break this
vague.
down.
Mm-hmm.
We can break that down in a moment. What I do want to go ahead and point out is, especially when I'm zoomed out, what draws my eye is the word experience right in the middle of the page, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the larger font here, really until you get to the very end. And so I think if you're going to be putting this after your projects, you want to have more consistent formatting with your headers, right?
Well, I think that could be fixed by, making technical skills and engineering and education, fix those fonts, make those bigger, because those are all section headers.
Yeah, you could go either way. If down the road they start hurting for space, they could probably reduce the font size a bit and play with how they format things. They have a lot of stuff that's in bold here. They could take that away and just leave the headers bolded. Okay, so I'm going to say consistent headers. And I'll probably come back in here and type this in because I imagine y'all cannot read my handwriting very well.
It's not bad. I've seen worse as a TA, so.
I'll chalk this up to being my first time sharing my screen and using this this whiteboard.
It's legible, Chase.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, looking at the actual projects, right? They actually have it broken up by software, which I think is interesting. So they say here that CATIA, they used it presumably to design a full-scale electrical weed whacker and battery. And here, I suppose they're being redundant by saying CATIA, using CATIA V5 software.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say this is interesting, but I don't think I'm opposed to it. What do y'all think, having the software listed?
I think it would be good, I guess, in the sense of if they were to have a portfolio behind it as well, showing this full scale, with perspectives, drawings, measurements, showing it's fleshed out. So the resume is about getting the hook, right? And then when you're in the interview, if you bring in actual examples of this work done and you can talk about it, that's how you get the fish, So you get their interest. If they want to see results, and if you just say that something's happening, sure, that's cool, but we need some results.
Yeah, I definitely want more results here. I want to hear more about, what did they do with
What
this
kind of battery?
Yeah, did they actually make any of this? I think listing the software first, that would break down pretty quickly as soon as they went to list a project that had more than one thing, right? So if they had done this and then they 3D printed all the parts, right, and they bought a commercial battery, say, and they put it together in a shop and they maybe machined a handle or something like that, and they did all this different stuff. I don't think it would look good if it was all listed at the beginning, and it would be better if they went with the typical formatting of having like a project name and just saying electrical weed whacker, and this is what I did for it. Y'all agree, disagree?
That makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I think as they have it right now, at least, it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's just the formatting, just especially with the difference in font size, it really makes it hard to read because people are moving on to the next one. I hate to say it, but it has to be easy to read. And the more difficult it is to read, the more likely an HR rep is just going to toss it to the wind, I guess.
What do y'all think about the second line here? Utilize part design and assembly features. Now, I've not used CATIA myself, but I feel like that's sort of a given for any CAD software.
Yeah, it's redundant. Yeah. It's like, of course you would use that. I would like to hear more about the weed whacker, just like what kind of battery did you use? And was it fabricated? Do you have plans fabricating? Could it be fabricated? Even if like the project was a failure, your ability to reason and show, what you learned from the process is better than just giving up entirely, in my experience.
And what about this Visual C# project they got here? They say they developed a game, but they don't seem to really talk about what the goal was, I guess, of the project.
Yeah.
They just have randomly generated numbers to make the game easier or more difficult. Does that mean that the player in this case couldn't select their difficulty? Or I don't really know how that is incorporated in their game, right?
It's very vague.
Right, it's very vague.
I would try to name the game to a Space Invader-like game, a Tetris-like game, a Snake-like game. You know, some context.
You need a visual. Like, is this like GTA type, or like is this Minesweeper? You know.
Yeah, I would like to see stronger verbs as well, I think, right? Because they utilized formulas and randomly generated numbers. That's
What kind of formulas? Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really tell you what they did. It's really not that impressive. It's almost hard to avoid doing that. I mean, maybe the random number generator isn't so much hard to avoid, but if you need something remotely random, you need some RNG in there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
What do y'all think about the technical skills then? They did make an attempt to showcase their C# up here, and I actually don't see. Oh, there it is, CATIA.
Yeah, I think you just need CATIA. You could just say Microsoft Suite.
Yeah, Microsoft Office is fine.
Yeah, CATIA. I don't think you need to put an operating system on a resume. It seems a little, I've never really such, unless you're an app developer, then that's really the only reason I could see it being useful.
And even then, Windows 8 is
outdated.
Yeah.
I think the self-study could be fleshed out, but we'll give Chase time to catch up.
Is Arduino an actual programming language?
Technically, it is.
Technically, it is. It's not a great one, but that's a different discussion. It's good to get a basis. I mean,
should that go into like software applications instead of languages? I mean,
I think you could just remove it entirely and not even put it in software applications, because I think it's based off of C++.
Right. It's almost redundant to include both in the list. I think so much as saying whether or not this should be in here, this would be a good opportunity to say, when did you use Arduino? Right? Because presumably they didn't just write code and run the code on their computer. They actually had some sort of assignment or project or whatever.
Yeah. Like, I think the self-study could be fleshed out in engineering course projects.
Yeah, self-study, I think, is not generally a good thing to include as either as its own skill or as a bullet point. If you say in your experience, I learned how to do this, that's not something you can really measure. Or at least if you can measure it, if you can back that up and say, I applied this in my job or in my project, that's what you want to focus on anyway.
Yeah, because he talks about in the last part of that, using Python and stuff to build a robotic arm. So I would say, robotic arm project and sort of turn that upside down.
It's a hell of a lot cooler than randomly generating numbers. Yeah, like flesh that out. I would love to see photos of that if I were interviewing someone. And then this is just a nitpicky thing, but Arduino programming environment, can we change that to Arduino IDE? And honestly, sometimes, you could just leave off Arduino and just say microcontroller. I don't know if that's lying a little bit, but I mean, it's not like you're not lying, but it sounds a bit more professional than using Arduino. You know what I mean?
Arduinos are actually used in professional setting. They do pop up from time to time at my job. You know, we're not doing anything super complex with them.
Yeah, they're really good for like getting an idea for what you would like to do. And I don't know what you do. I guess in that sense, I've only really used them to get a general idea of something I would like to do. And you could do it really fast with Arduino. But like, I guess in terms of manufacturing ability and lack of debugging and everything.
Yeah, we do a lot of one-off stuff. Like, I need to perform this specific task, you know, once. How can I do that as quick as possible to move on to the next thing?
Exactly. And Arduino is great for that. I agree 100%. It's really good for like those things you just need to get done and you can do it. I'm just an MSP 430 fanboy, so don't listen to me.
All right. So overall, what do y'all think about this first half? It seems to be, you know, again, just kind of glancing at the experience. This seems to be their stronger area. And I think they can rearrange it and focus on some of their projects more to make it stronger. But this seems to be sort of the best part. So
I think you should, yeah, that self-study should just be moved up to engineering course projects entirely. Not label it, I guess, as self-study, but as a project.
Yeah, it wouldn't be course projects because he wasn't doing it for school, but yeah, some kind of project space, and you can sort of blur those lines.
Yeah, make it vague.
all right, then. Let's move on to the experience. What sticks out to y'all in terms of formatting, in terms of you know, headers, without getting directly into the bullet points? What do y'all think? Do you think this formatting is okay? Do you think the indenting is necessary? Too much? Too little?
Yeah, I mean, I think that looks fine. I think the experience could be maybe, I guess, in, you know, if you wanted to make it more poppy, I guess, to show that these are different sections, you can indent everything to the right a little bit below experience, but in like activities and achievements, but that's just me.
Sure. Yeah, that's something.
I just like making things easier to read, and it has to flow in a sense.
All right. Let's see, breaking down the bullets themselves, you know, it stands out to me that they're all quite short. There's, what, 2 in total that are more than 1 line? We got here, whoever this is, they helped students resolve technical issues, but we don't know what that means. Like, did someone not know how to open up Chrome instead of Internet Explorer? What were the issues?
Yeah, it's like, did you fill out tickets? You know, you could talk about that. It shows that, you know, you're able to manage some sort of data.
Right.
Yeah, and they might use the same ticketing system too. You should name the ticketing system if you got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we just don't know if they even use tickets or if what they did. We see in the next line, they managed a computer lab.
How many computers? How did you manage it?
Was it an engineering computer lab, or, you know, like, was this just a general computer lab?
What's the right word for that? Not maintenance, but did they do any security, or did they update software?
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all think about including the COVID-19 pandemic? I'm not really sure what that adds to this bullet point.
Yeah, I don't think that adds anything, unless there was some very specific duty that they did very well to COVID-19.
Yeah, is this like, mm, I guess, doing something in regards to preventing transmission? Moving computers in a way that everything's spaced, or I don't know, cleaning up after. It's just very broad. But how did you manage a computer lab? What did you do? What are those duties?
Yeah. I think looking at all of these, really, I think you hit the nail on the head with saying that they're broad. That seems to be a sort of consistent issue with listing all of this experience, honestly.
The clone erase data actually is a pretty decent one. I'd like to know a bit more about volume. Did you do it for the whole school? Did you do 500, laptops or something? I would expand on that, but overall, I think the best bullet is that clone erase data one.
Okay. Do you think even if they rewrote all of these and included more details, this would probably still be the strongest bullet point? Because I'm thinking then we can move it to the top.
Well, it depends on what the context of the managing the computer lab is. That could be pretty strong if it was a lot of computers, and if you were managing supplies and things like that, then that could bring it in front of, doing actual data processing, because you can have a quantity. But without knowing exactly what that management entails, right now that clone and erase, I think, is the best one.
I think you could also just condense these 5 bullet points into 3, maybe 2. Manage the computer lab manage the computer lab. Also help students resolve technical issues. Like when I think managing a computer lab, that probably involves running various equipment.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The management being a broad term, you could argue that includes everything, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I might even say with all these other bullet points, it would be better if this line were taken out or rewritten to show more leadership. Because the last point is they train new hires, but did they have any other sort of leadership roles? Did they get to direct what was happening within the lab?
Yeah. It could all be fleshed out. It just needs examples or references to things that happened.
What do y'all think about it being all present tense? I've sort of been put into this mindset that your bullet point should be in past tense, even if this is something that you're currently doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I want y'all's thoughts on that.
I'm okay with current jobs being present tense.
Yeah, that's how I've always really done it, and it does make it confusing sometimes, but I just figure it helps the recruiter get into the same mindset that you're currently doing this.
Okay.
But that's just me.
Well, I do love democracy, so I won't say anything about it on this resume. All right, so that's what they have for their STC technology mentorship. But down here they have Vex Robotics, which to me sounds like it's already going to be more interesting. And they get down in the bullet points and they say that they do this at the high school and the middle school. So since they're the mentor, I'm assuming that they're helping both of these schools at the same time. But what does mentorship include? I've not been involved with First Robotics or anything like that. Maybe y'all kind of intuitively know what might goes into mentorship here. But to me, I don't know what they did. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, you're basically a coach, right? That's basically what they're doing.
So when you read this bullet point, do you kind of get the gist of what they did? Or would you rather see how they coached or what sort of problems they might have helped students work through? Or is that even important for something involving high school and middle school?
For the problems, not so much. I would want to know like the quantity of the kids, right? Like how many kids, how many teams. If you're doing high school and middle school, is that 2 teams? Or is that one team consisting of both? And then how many people is that? And then if you did, successfully get to, a regional, success or something like that, that, may be good information as well.
Okay. So what if they, because I don't see it down here, what if they talk more about the robot? I presume they didn't really do much in terms of designing or building it themselves. But that would still be a result. Say, hey, I helped them make a robot that does this. Do you think that counts?
So with these things, usually there's, somebody correct me, but usually there's like a specific, set thing, like it has to have 4 wheels and it has to, operate in a certain way. So you're a bit constrained by whatever the game is. So I don't think that is going to. I don't think that's really going to matter too much. You don't have a lot of control over that, and it's more about your ability to teach the kids than exactly what they're doing. And so you could elaborate that it's a walking robot or a wheeled robot or something like that. But you should really focus on the transfer of knowledge and how well you are at working with this group of people than specifically what you're doing.
Agreed.
Okay.
Chase actually volunteered for Vex Robotics one time. All we really did was just kind of like walk them through just kind of the troubleshooting steps, because for the most part they already knew what they were doing. It's just we were just kind of there to help, kind of like guide them.
I see. Thank you, Rob. Would you say that this is something that's worth including on a resume if you could otherwise use the space for a project or any other experience?
I'd say it is. It's definitely pretty high up on the chopping block to get cut. I would still have this on there rather than bagger. But yeah, it's a good filler, and it is technical, and it can sort of show your leadership and your teaching and communication skills as well. So those are good things to highlight.
Okay. I think since this is already spilling over to the second line, that they could probably list out those skills.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then the bagger, I think we've already said enough about that. It's good for showing that they can hold down a position for a while. They worked on it for about a year.
Yeah, I'd bring it up in the interview just to show that you were able to stick around. Hey, I did have some stuff before this, but I don't think it really has a place on a technical resume.
No, I don't think it does either.
Yeah, I honestly don't know that I'd even bring it up in an interview, especially if it's not on the resume. Because if they happen to ask about that sort of thing, then of course tell them all about it. But I just don't see it coming up naturally.
It can come up. Like when I was just getting out of the military, my resume only had my military experience. I'd cut off my factory and my bagging work as well. And so they were like, you have any other experience besides being in the military? Well, I did, but it didn't really apply to what we're doing, But I did this for 3 years, and I did this for 2 years, and so it was steady. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Instead of hey, this guy's only got 4 years of experience. So it can come up organically.
Okay. Well, thank you for proving me wrong. I think on the very last resume we looked at last week, someone had an Eagle Scout award, right?
Me too.
Yeah, I think it might have been you. Let's see. I don't know anything about Eagle Scouts myself.
I think it was no. I don't know if I submitted for here, but mine's at the very bottom too.
Yeah. No, I think placement's fine. I would make this a single line though. I mean,
True.
I think anybody who cares about the Eagle Scout Award already knows it's the highest honor, so I wouldn't bother
redundant.
saying that. But I would just be like, Eagle Scout Award, led 10 volunteers, and then I would cut out like the conceptualized and the beautificate, like,
Conceptualized sounds like it didn't happen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just, I would stick with the leadership of, led 10 volunteers, and then, yeah. I don't like beautification of church parking lot because all they did was pick up trash, right? That's I picked up trash with 10 other people.
Yeah, don't want. Yeah. It's pretty vague.
We could use stronger words, right? Like designed or coordinated. Does that seem fair to y'all?
Oh, I like led, right? He has led way over there. Led 10 volunteers. You are a leader, and you led 10 people.
Well, that's lead. That should be past tense. So we need to take out the A.
Yeah, if they're going to be consistent, that should be past tense. Oh, I like that.
Unless you're continuing to beautify, but that's on you.
But yeah, I agree with the first line. Anyone who cares is going to know it's the highest award that you can get. But moreover, I think most of the line is redundant. You already know that this person was in the Boy Scouts of America. You already know that they got the Eagle Scout Award because it tells you right there. The only information you get out of this whole bullet point is the 2 words highest award, which if you really feel like you need to include that, you could just throw it up in parentheses up here. But I don't think you need to include that. I agree with, I think Jade said it first. Whoever cares will know. All right, well, overall, I feel like a lot of these bullet points are actually pretty weak, but they show some promise in their self-study section, ironically enough, and in their course projects. And it seems like they have a lot here that they could be talking about that they're not.
Agreed.
I'd like to know if they have any other personal projects too.
Mm-hmm. Are you currently working on any?
And
also portfolio, like once you get the interview, you got to bring in pictures. Like you can't just say, yeah, I did this. Like the pictures help you explain it better. I mean, it's only helped me in interviews I brought them to. People really enjoy it when you're able to substantiate your claims. Surprisingly, who would have thought?
I'll just add here personal projects. I'm realizing as I'm doing this that Emily is way better at talking while writing than I am. So I thank y'all for dealing with my awkward silence.
You're good.
I wanted a question mark.
That's how all the tutors on YouTube.
Jay, did you by any chance put your PMCS thing on your resume?
What was that?
That's for Jade.
Am I going to look like an idiot if I have to ask what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just you just had such a
Oh, did I? Yeah, I mean that. So, in what context?
that's when you took university, like A&M, Texas A&M. He does static mechanics and solids, and strengths.
That's not what I came up with. PMCS.
No, PMCS is a preventative maintenance and what was it? Preventative maintenance.
Checks and services. So
There you go.
So, two of the jobs that I have held, that was a primary duty of doing that. So yes, it was, and then it's a secondary duty of the last job that I held as well. And then this job, I don't do that. So yes, I do put that on there because that was a primary duty of mine.
Yeah, I basically put that on there as well, just kind of worded differently. I have a whole section for my MLS in there, and I just thought it was funny that you also put your PMCS thing on there.
I think it was relatively broad. It was something like maintained over $10 million in military radio hardware or something like that.
Maintain deadline vehicles.
No, we didn't have any vehicles. I was all radios.
Oh, nice. Same. Sorry, Chase.
Yeah, no worries. I guess all I got left to ask y'all is, would y'all hire this person? They are graduating in 2024, so would you take this person on as an intern? And obviously, you'd have to teach them pretty much everything.
Unpopular opinion, I think internships are silly and no one should do them.
I think that is going to be unpopular.
Yeah.
Well, all right. What about a low-paid new hire then? You did sound impressed that they led 10 volunteers. You seem to be under the impression that shows some good leadership skills.
Well, I mean that's what the whole Eagle Scout thing is. I wasn't Boy Scout, I don't know, but other Eagle Scout guy. I mean, like that's the point of the thing, right? Was that you're a community leader? Did we lose our other Boy Scout?
No, I'm Boy Scout here.
Yeah. So I mean, is that am I wrong?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Is the point of Boy Scouting and being an Eagle Scout like you're a community leader, you're working in the community,
Yes.
you're helping the community grow. So the main key part of that is the leadership qualities that being a Boy Scout entails. That's why you're trying to highlight that.
Agreed. Yes.
All right. Well, I'm not hearing yeses, so I'm assuming then that
Yeah.
He needs some work, but also he's 3 years from graduation, so that's okay.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, not many freshmen have this much on their resume. So, I mean, I didn't. So,
No, I don't think I even had a resume at this point.
I don't even know what a resume was.
Yeah, but walking in freshman year, what even is a resume? Am I right?
we made one, but it was very, it was just like, we had an E101 class and they made us make one. And I mean, of course, none of ours were good because, we just graduated high school. So
Right.
We had to make resumes in high school. in like juniors. That was a class we had to take.
Yeah, I would
Jeez.
hope that that's a common thing.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the more you mess with the resume, the easier it gets to add to it and subtract, and it's a mind game. I hate to say it, but
Did anyone else forget that this person is an electrical engineering student?
I just remember robotics. That was the key thing I was kind of remembering. But that's a good point too. I kind of lost track of, I guess, the
Ele-
purpose.
Electrical engineering is taking a lot of leaning towards programming. In some cases, you still have the hard electrical engineering, but it is starting to get a bit loose between electrical and computer.
Mm-hmm. Especially those embedded systems and low level hardware control.
And again, they're 3 years away. I don't expect that they've even taken any classes specific to double E's. So I don't mean to say I expect to see more of I designed a circuit board or this or that. But do you think there's any way they could have leaned the experience they did list towards an electrical engineering aspect? I mean, again, when they're talking about these points here that they kind of glazed right over, could they lean more into saying how I selected the servos or well, I don't know. I'm not a
Well, I'm willing to bet they didn't select the servos. Those robotic arms are usually a kit. Even the ones that you get off Thingiverse, then you 3D print yourself. Usually, they have a parts list for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's good to start off with. I mean, how else are you going to get started? How else are you going to know what like you're interested in? I mean, I would say that this is like a typical freshman resume. It's not bad. It's just got to flesh out those points. Like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? You got to show that in your resume. These are the skills that I have that would make me a great robotics engineer, automation engineer with your company. It just kind of seems like a resume. I just don't know like what this person will be applying for besides robotic challenges, which is vague. Like when I think robotic, I used ROS my final year of school. And so maybe that would be something to look into because like that and DDoS software is very relevant today even.
For the sake of conversation, what do y'all think about the GPA?
Stellar. Keep it up. Keep it up, buddy. Try. I mean, I'm glad he got almost a 4.0 the first year. That's impressive for sure.
He still has a few classes to go.
Oh, for sure. But I'm just saying, once you gotta start it off high because it's just downhill from there.
For sure.
For sure. Oh, but I mean, yeah, keep it up.
Okay. Well, I like that. I think that's a good place to end it. It's not necessarily a bad resume. It's pretty good, all things considered. It just could use a lot of rework and be so much better. And as they fill it out, these are hopefully points they can take with them as they get more experience.
Do they also, if they're listening, try joining IEEE or electric SAE if you all have that sort of team there. It'd be a great way to build a portfolio or, lead a group outside of being a mentor. Because people do take those professional societies seriously. Some do. Not everyone, but it's like a frat, kind of. But yeah.
You have to be active, though. Just being in there is not enough.
Yeah. You need to be able to sit on boards if they ask you, but at this point, it's very Just got a couple years to go.
Yeah, I know.
But even just going to dinners and stuff, I wouldn't list it on a resume, but it's a great way to network in your area.
That'd be an interesting bullet point. Rubbed elbows with professors or what have you. It can be a skill depending on what you do, but
Yeah,
maybe not explicitly say that.
engineering to marketing. Fast track.
Well, thank y'all for joining us tonight. No sways. And again, tomorrow we're going to have a presentation at 6 o'clock Central. If I remember correctly, I still hadn't gone back to double check myself. Sways, that's what I heard. Great, 6 o'clock Central. We're going to have Swayze Express presenting yet again. I understand that he has some research he's excited to share. And I know last time, a lot of what he said, at least at the beginning, flew over my head, but I think he's a good presenter. And anytime someone's interested in their work, I think that makes the whole experience a lot better. So I would encourage you all, if y'all have the time, to hop over and see what's happening. Someone wrote 8 p.m. No, Sways, don't do this to me. All right, check the announcements. Y'all check the announcements. Don't listen to me. And that's it. I don't have anything else for y'all. Go, get out, scoot. Cut the video.
Good job, Chase.
Thank you.